Welcome to Chopping It Up with DETV, sponsored by the Wilmington Public Library. I'm Tanetta Brown, and I have the honor, the privilege, the opportunity to have a great conversation with the keeper of our literary culture, the Nikki Giovanni. Welcome to Wilmington, Delaware.
I'm glad to be back. I used to live in Wilmington.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Any particular area, part of
Wilmington? I
wouldn't
remember. I'm an old woman. But
Understood.
I went to Penn, and of course, nobody could afford Pennsylvania. You can't afford Philly. And so, you could practically walk over. So I had an apartment here in Wilmington, took the train, walked to the train. So wherever it was close enough to the train.
Wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we're
so
glad
it's back
to have
home.
You back home. We welcome our home folks.
Thank you.
So from Black feeling, Black talk, all the way to A Good Cry, 30 publications along the way in between, and to be noted as a national treasure. What inspires you or motivates you to continue to do these types of public opportunities with your readers?
Well, I enjoy reading. And number two, I really love libraries. So it's always a pleasure to be in a library when I'm invited to a library. And this year I had the honor of having Dr. Carla Hayden debut my book, A Library, at the Library of Congress. And it was such a thrill to have a black woman as head of the Library of Congress, and to debut the book. And of course, but we had some friends who came in from Cincinnati, and we had friends who came in from Chicago, and one, Juliana Richardson, who does the History Makers. Juliana brought her mom, whom I love, but her librarian, who was 95 years old. So they flew in from Chicago for this, and her librarian just cried because as she said, I never thought I'd see a black librarian at the Library of Congress. So this has been really a fabulous year, and what keeps you interested is I keep meeting people, or I keep being a part of events that I think important, and if people like me don't do it and don't enjoy doing it, I think other people would be left out or would not know that they should do it.
Exactly. I used to cry when my mother wouldn't take me to the library on time to get more books.
That's
so
right.
I'm certainly a fan of libraries as well. So with that, though, our libraries, to some degree, are beginning to experience attack of the word and book banning and things of that nature. What do you think would be a good positive response, especially as a writer, and prayerfully none of your literature will ever
I'm sure
come to a certain,
I'm sure that I've been banned.
Yes. But how would you, in terms of freedom of speech and how you view what is happening to the written word?
Well, what's happening to the word, which was not always written. Sure. I mean, you can go back, I happen to be a Christian, but we can go back further than Jesus.
Yes.
They didn't kill Jesus because he did anything. He didn't steal anything. They killed him because he had something to say. He had an idea. And we've been killing people and banning people and burning books and destroying things. There's always this group. And, I think one of the really stupid, and there are a lot of stupid things in America, but one of the stupid things has been the 18th Amendment when they banned drinking, as if people weren't going to find some way to drink. But what they ended up doing was creating the drug traffic.
Yes.
And now they don't want to admit it. We got the 19th Amendment, but by then the drug traffic had come up. So I think that the word will always have to fight for its right. Okay. And I think that, again, that's what I do. All I have are words, and so I have to use them as I see fit. And I think my son is 53 years old, but I think that I should be the one to decide what he can and can't read and what he should and shouldn't do. And there are parents that say, well, I don't want my child to read that. Well, then don't let them, but don't stop me from letting my child. I can't think of any better book. I can think of several, actually, but in another respect. Toni Morrison's, and she's a dear friend, and Ohio, a fellow sister Ohioan. And, of course, they've been banning The Bluest Eye because they really hate, they hate doing that. And, of course, they hate Song of Solomon, not Song of Solomon. They hate that, but Beloved. And it's because they don't want to hear the truth. And I think the truth is going to have to be told. And I was watching Tyree Nichols' funeral, and just watching how the family and how other families had lost members, and how they came together for his family, for his mother particularly, who I can't imagine burying my son. So you know, these are words, and of course, Al, you know, you can't really beat Al Sharpton. Al just, you know, I've been knowing Al for, I know, 60 years or so, but I just told a friend of mine, and she travels with me, but I said to her name is Jenny, I said to Jenny, if ever anything happens to me, call Ben Crump. Because whatever, Ben is brilliant, and whatever can be gotten, whatever little juice he can squeeze out of it, he's going to get. I really love Ben. He's brilliant, and he doesn't give up. So watching the black men, I saw only part of the video, beat that child to death, and then watching the black men today at the church where Martin Luther King gave his last speech. That was where he gave that Been to the Mountaintop speech. And the Lorraine Hotel, as you know, is just a couple of blocks down from the church. And so to watch the other black men say, and we're talking about words, but they said, no, we're not taking that. We have something else to say, and we're going to go forward, and we're not going to be, or as one of them said, you know, we have to decide what race is racism. I thought that was a great one, because we often think of racism as being, oh, that's black and white. But those 5 black men, and perhaps before it's all over, there are going to be a couple of more involved. Those 5 black men, how are you going to call it race? Well, it is racism, but it has nothing to do with color.
Yeah. In your writings, one of the things I ran across was you have this quote, and we'll wrap this up because I know the audience is waiting for you downstairs to ask you and hear from you to a greater degree. But there are things you stand up for because it's right. What things do you feel our community in this present day and time, particularly with words in mind, should we be standing up for in our communities?
I think that the community has made its own. I'm saying this badly, but I don't mean to. The community makes its own choice, and so I think we all listen to each other. And as I said, I looked at of course I cried like everybody did. You couldn't see Miss Nichols. She's not Miss Nichols anymore. She's remarried, and you couldn't see her husband standing up for her to say this. I'm here to protect my wife too. And it was just wonderful. But I don't do this sort of research, and it's because I'm old and lazy, I think. But I would love to see a book on the husbands. We've seen books on wives. Yes. But when I think about Raymond Parks, when I think about Pappy Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer's husband, I was looking at the husband today. I think somebody needs to do a book on black husbands. Okay. Because everybody talks about is oh, they're just really terrible. And I'm one of the few people I know who really loved Andy, who loves Andy Stroud, Nina Simone's husband. Everybody else, oh, Andy's a terrible man. Well, that's not the man I knew. And so I think that maybe some of the youngsters out there now getting ready to get their PhD, you know, and they're saying, oh, what should I write about? I hope that they decide to look at black husbands.
You must have been looking at my notes, because I was going to ask you what young writer or poet do you smile proudly about, and who you think will be up to that task, and you've identified that.
I would say, yeah, that is an academic situation. I think the best writer, one of the best young writers out is Edwidge Advocate. Edwidge wrote The Farming of Bones, The Dew Breaker, but I just think she's a brilliant young writer. But I think that you find a book, Renee Watson, if you're a young adult. Renee is a wonderful, wonderful young writer, and she's a young woman. Well, I'll be 80 soon, so everything that's under 50 is young. But
well, you've inspired many. You've inspired many, and we want to make sure that we get the opportunity for those downstairs awaiting your wisdom get to hear you. So thank you so much for the time you've given us, or before you even make it downstairs to the wider audience. Wilmington's glad to have you here because I know you have Delaware State honorary degrees, Wilmington U honorary degrees. So yes, you are home, and we're glad to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be
Thank
back.
you so very much for
Thank
your
you
time.
very much.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chopping It Up with DETV, sponsored by the Wilmington Public Libraries. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. I'm Janetta Brown. Thank you for watching.